Justice delayed is justice denied. When crime occurs, the investigation must begin immediately. I know this firsthand. As the chief law enforcement officer of a county of 1 million people, I made sure my prosecutors rapidly responded to the scene of every homicide. Evidence had to be secured, forensics analyzed, witnesses identified. The true facts had to be frozen. And for the most part, we solved crime without the benefit of videotapes, audio tapes, drones, eyewitnesses, and a room full of people watching the crime take place over an 8-hour period. Without this immediacy, the passage of time would dim memories, allow witnesses to be influenced, indeed even lessen the resolve of those seeking retribution. Hello and welcome to Justice. I'm Judge Jeanine Pirro. Thanks for joining us. President Obama promised us more than 6 months ago that those responsible for the murder of 4 Americans in Benghazi would be brought to justice.
Make no mistake, justice will be done.
But saying you're going to get justice is not the same as getting it. This week, Obama's chief law enforcement officer, top cop Robert Mueller, the head of the FBI, testified before a congressional committee why the suspects believed responsible for the murders of Ambassador Chris Stevens, Sean Smith, Ty Woods, and Glenn Doherty have not yet been brought to justice. You may remember it took the FBI 3 weeks to even get into Benghazi, the crime scene, because it wasn't safe. 3 weeks? So how is it possible that CNN got in just days after the attack and found the ambassador's journal where he writes of his fears of al-Qaeda? How is it possible that other reporters just days after found our classified intel logs that should have been destroyed in the golden hour following the attack? Last I checked, most FBI agents carry guns and reporters carry notebooks. So what could possibly be the reason for the failure to not only prosecute those responsible or even take them into custody, let alone interrogate them? And make no mistake, we know who they are. They were on camera. There was a drone and a video. They actually took credit for the attack. Witnesses and authorities have identified Ahmed Abu Khattala as a ringleader of the September 11th attack in Benghazi. Yet Khattala doesn't even bother to hide his defiance and hatred for the United States. He walks around openly in Benghazi in his sandals, drinking cocktails. A leader of Ansar al-Sharia, he has praised those whose trucks and fighters were seen attacking our mission. So why have we not even spoken to this guy?
There were hurdles at the outset with which you're familiar. Benghazi did not have a law enforcement element to provide, on the one hand, security, and on the other hand, the ability to act as our partners or to assist in developing witnesses.
But now the director is optimistic.
We have overcome many of those hurdles with the help of Libyan authorities who have exhibited a willingness to support us in our investigation, and it is progressing.
Really? 6 months and $132 million of our dollars later, and we're still wishing and hoping. And then there's Ali Harzai. He is a member of the violent North African extremist network with ties to al-Qaeda, actually in custody in Tunisia.
Your people were in Tunisia waiting for 5 weeks, if my memory serves me correctly. They were on the ground waiting the initial time they went out.
Well, they were in Tripoli for a good long time, waiting to go in.
But in Tunisia too, when that went,
Tunisia, because of the attack on the embassy in Tunisia on I think it was September 14th, 3 days later.
Really? 5 weeks? And we give Tunisia $320 million? And finally, Abu Ahmad Jamal. He set up the training camps in North Africa for terrorists. We haven't spoken to him either.
When I was in Egypt 2 weeks ago, I gave them a letter specifically asking President Morsi to allow the FBI to interview the person who they have in custody Has the FBI been given access to the individual Jamal in Egypt?
Not yet.
And just last week, Secretary of State Kerry gave the Egyptians $250 million, and last month a few F-16s to boot. Now, CIA Director John Brennan says we need to respect those countries and let them do their job.
We press our partners and foreign governments to hold individuals and to allow us access to it. Sometimes their laws do not allow that to happen. I think the United States government has to respect these governments' right to, in fact, enforce their laws appropriately.
Really? We give them money? We get nothing in return other than their hatred for Americans. And we're waiting, wishing, and hoping? And what about those Benghazi survivors? Why hasn't the president or Hillary visited any of them? Could it be because those survivors might have a different narrative and then say, I told them what really happened? It's called deniability, folks. The White House says we can't talk to them because they're involved in highly sensitive positions.
I think it's worth noting that government employees, in this case, some of them in highly sensitive positions, have responsibilities that existed before and exist after an attack like that. But investigation is ongoing. The fact of the matter is it's under investigation.
But the survivors could be made available to members of the intelligence community who have security clearances. So why haven't we heard from them?
Why have we not heard from any of the Benghazi survivors?
Well, I mean, I can't tell you the answer to that. I can tell you that I have visited with one of the survivors.
Will we hear from them?
I don't know what the circumstances are of any request to talk to them or not.
The White House is certainly not preventing anybody from having access to any of the survivors of the Benghazi attack.
Bottom line is they feel that they cannot come forward. They've been told to be quiet. And at the end of the day, we can't let this administration or any other administration get away with hiding from the American people and the Congress, people who were there in real time to tell the story.
Senator Lindsey Graham, now there's a man who understands the importance of eyewitnesses and the importance of justice. What I want to know is anyone in custody in Libya or anywhere else for that matter? How many suspects are at large? How many have been in custody in their home country and then released? How can we possibly leave to the Libyan government, the same government that couldn't protect our embassy and couldn't even protect the FBI and provide them access to the crime scene, the authority or jurisdiction to investigate and apprehend those responsible for the murders of 4 Americans? I've said it before and I'll say it again. Justice delayed is justice denied.